graphics. And welcome back to the channel, guys. Gvids here. If you guys are new around here, make sure you do subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on any future content. But today we have an update for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's 1.04 and it's about 4 gigs depending on the platform we are on. That can range from person to person, just keep that in mind. But I have a nasty cold today, guys, and my voice sucks right now. I am going to tap in my assistant. She's going to go over the patch notes for the day. I hope you guys enjoy the video today and find it informative. And here's my assistant right now.
Thank you, Gvids. Let's get started. ACV Patch Notes 1.04 Content Graphics Performance Mode Introduction. Added an option to the game that allows players to choose between performance or visual quality. Feature breakdown. This option is available for Xbox Series XS and PlayStation Registered 5. Choosing performance allows the game to adapt the resolution and graphic settings to maintain 60 FPS. Choosing quality enables the game to run maximum resolution and graphic settings while maintaining 30 FPS. Default values since the launch of the game are as follows. Xbox Series X PlayStation Registered 5, Performance. Xbox Series S, Quality. Miscellaneous. Added a new background image to the title screen. Added various VFX to enhance visuals. Added an option that will automatically assign all nodes on the path when acquiring a central skill. Added rune categories to the rune menu. All runes are now categorized in weapon and armor runes. Added a warning when switching from a language that supports TTS to one that doesn't. Sliders can now be moved with left-right arrows on M and K and controllers. Increased fabric limit to 82. Added fabric to traders once the settlement has reached level 6. Added offering altar requirements to the world map. Balancing. Updated gear quality and gear to their correct values. Added assassination damage stats on the character stats page. Removed duplicate gear from inventory. Heavy and light attack stats will now adjust correctly based on acquired skill nodes. Heavy attack modifiers will no longer be applied to range attacks. Game improvements. Performance and stability. Improved stability and performance. Xbox Series, improved experience on Xbox Series SX consoles including screen tearing. PC, addressed a VRAM RAM leakage issue when alt-tabbing to desktop. Save games. Corrected some instances where load game would not display save games correctly. Renamed cloud saves to make them more distinguishable from regular saves. Previously the cloud save was only highlighted with a cloud icon. Now they'll be called, for example, Manual Save Cloud. Removed cloud saves from the save menu. This will ensure that it cannot be overwritten unintentionally. Added a notification when a cloud save retrieval has failed. Graphics, audio, animation. Addressed various graphical issues across the board. Addressed various FX issues. Addressed various instances of clipping issues. Addressed various visual issues with Ever's Cloak. Addressed various instances of player or NPC animation issues. Addressed various audio issues. Addressed various sliding issues. Shadow resolution on high will now use correct values. World. Addressed various texture or object placement issues. Addressed some instances where the player could become stuck in specific locations. Fish in Norway will now spawn in bad weather. Yeah, we had to read this one twice too. Crows will no longer randomly fall from the sky in Asgard. Bad omens, huh? Gameplay, combat, addressed various bow aiming issues. Improved NPC and boss behavior across the board. NPCs will now react to the player stealing, so think twice before stealing. Addressed an issue where dogs would start levitating when Ever starts to pet them. Blocking sprinkled projectiles will now consume stamina, as intended. Zealots that were hit with a sleep dart can now be stun attacked. Sleep tight. Zealots will no longer heal themselves while in player vicinity. Guards who clearly saw Ever shoot their ally will now turn hostile presses emergency button. Guards will now hear the impact of dead bodies dropping to the ground. Improve guard reactions to whistling. Improved disguise behavior in distressed zones. Shooting bows from the longship now consumes arrows. Players will now be able to air assassinate sleeping NPCs. Savage. Improved fish reeling behavior. Addressed an issue where the horse wouldn't use the gallop animation in combat. The crowd will now cheer during drinking games. You better. Reworked sliding mechanic. Quests, world events, side activities. Addressed an issue where the assassination sequence wouldn't play for some targets. Addressed various texture issues during cutscenes. Addressed various issues with quests or world events that prevented players from completing them. Players can no longer use the fishing tool or the horn during the drunk walk with tutor. You're drunk, go home. Subquests will now display the correct part of parent quest. The memory stream can now be chosen when starting a new game if hold alternative option is set to on. Increased frequency of experienced travelers. User interface HUD. Addressed various issues with the user interface HUD. Addressed various localization issues. Addressed various mouse and keyboard related input issues. Secrets will now be discovered when synchronizing a viewpoint. This does not apply to Pathfinder difficulty. Experienced travelers are now highlighted on the world map and on the compass when in proximity. Addressed an issue where the map wouldn't update once players got intel from an experienced traveler. Increased out in sight radius and enemies will now be highlighted for longer eye. Improved radius in which Sinin reveals keys. Reduced Sinin's view distance of materials. Improved the objective beam behavior. Settlement building beams can now be seen using Odin's sight. Improved enemy target lock mechanic. Sell all trinkets will now be grayed out after all trinkets were sold. Chaching. Bosses' power levels will now be displayed on their health gauge. This does not apply to regular enemies. Regular brightness settings will no longer apply to HDR exposure settings. The codex will no longer foreshadow or spoil some events. A11Y. Desktop entries and content on Layla's laptop are now narrated when menu narration is on. A11Y, colorblind filters are now applied correctly to mini-quest log and raid tutorial. Abilities and skills. Addressed an issue where players couldn't use any abilities anymore when the dive of the Valkyrie's ability was interrupted. Ally NPCs or horses can no longer trigger body traps. Some people just want to see the world burn, huh? Addressed a display issue where the poisonous powder trap could become invisible after using Sinin. Adjusted chain assassination behavior. Players will no longer be able to assassinate a target who is tackled to the ground. The secondary hand slot will no longer be available when a two-handed weapon is equipped, pre-heavy dual-wield skill. Flaming powder traps will now explode when walking over the arrow. Raids. Force open will now be displayed correctly even if nearby allies are in combat. Addressed an issue where allies would not help Ever to open a door during raids. Allies will now return to the longship once a raid is complete. Added a timer until players can restart a raid that was just completed. Photo mode. Effect values can now be adjusted with arrow keys or WASD. The no filter option will now work correctly. The territory panel is no longer displayed in photo mode. Changing filters will now work as intended. Addressed an issue where an online service error could occur temporarily when looking at photos on the world map. Snow FX will now center to the camera instead of the player in photo mode. System. PC. Updated README files to show correct PC specifications. Added additional checkpoints to some boss fights. Addressed an issue that led controllers to vibrate constantly. Addressed an issue where players could become stuck in a black screen after closing the menu with Start. PC. Updated the auto-detect config for NVIDIA GeForce 1650S. Thank you for watching. Make sure to share, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next